Hi everyone, I'm Bilal with your daily roundup of AI news. First off, let's talk about vibe coding. I'm sure everyone already knows the word. It was actually named Word of the Year by Collins Dictionary. But for those who don't know, it's when you stop writing syntax and start describing the outcome to AI agents. And basically, you're telling AI the vibe that you're feeling, and the agent builds the application for you. One of the biggest vibe coding platforms is Replit. They've actually grown quite a bit. They grew their revenue from 3 million to 150 million in the last 1 year. And guess what? Google has actually signed a multi-year partnership with Replit. Under this deal, Replit will exclusively use Google Cloud and Gemini models to power its AI features, and it will also gain a more deeper integration with the Google ecosystem. Right now, this deal clearly shows that Google wants to control as much of this market as possible. Replit's main competition is Lovable, which is also a very popular tool, and it's been growing. Google already has strong ties with Lovable. Lovable is using Gemini 3 Pro and GPT-5 for its AI capabilities. I think this is kind of getting a little messy though, because Google already has similar tools in the space that it has developed itself. So, for example, Project IDX, which is now Firebase Studio, it's basically a browser-based IDE which has the vibe coding capabilities that they've just introduced. They have Google Stitch, which is a AI tool which can specifically generate like UI designs for you based on just prompts. And then they obviously have Google AI Studio, which is very similar to Replit and allows you to create like full stack applications just using natural language prompts, right? This partnership does signal that Google knows that its internal tools are powerful, but they don't really have the community momentum that Replit has. So basically, they just kind of it's like a classic hedge where Google wants to continue building internally, but they also want to be kind of controlling and powering whoever is the winner in this race, right? Now, something that's interesting and something you might be wondering is why did Google not just acquire Replit, right? Replit is valued around 3 billion, which would be pocket change for Google or Alphabet. So I think the answer is pretty much like antitrust, because if Google buys the fastest growing developer platform, it would obviously invite a lot of like regulatory scrutiny. So instead of buying the company, they basically bought the infrastructure. Right. Okay. All right. Moving on. Anthropic has shared the results of a user research they have conducted where they built an AI interviewer that had 15-minute conversations with over 1,200 professionals using AI. And these were just real open-ended chats about how people are using AI. And the results are quite interesting and slightly entertaining as well. So when AI asked people, how do you usually use AI? Most people said the, pretty much the same thing, which is that we use it for augmentation. Like basically we use AI to like as a partner to bounce ideas off. So basically what they're saying is we're not letting AI actually do work, but just using it for collaboration. But this is where it kind of gets entertaining, because Anthropic has access to all the logs, like the chat logs of these people who are interacting with the AI chatbot, right? And what that behavior is showing is that there's actually more of a like a split between augmentation and automation. So people think they're working with AI, but they're actually handing off a lot more tasks than people are willing to admit. And I don't think it's not exactly that people are lying. It's more because people want to feel like they're the ones in control. Anthropic did dig into how different groups feel about AI. So, for example, with regular office workers, they were like, please take our boring stuff, take the admin work, take the repetitive tasks, just don't take away the part of my job that makes me feel like me, right? Which makes sense. We can all relate to that. Scientists are kind of different because they want AI to help brainstorm ideas, speed up research, but they're kind of in a tricky environment where they have to be more rigorous, like they need to do things that are more reproducible, more trustworthy. So their question is not just like, can AI help me? It's more about, can I trust AI enough for to put it into my workflow, right? Now, the most interesting one is like the creative industry, right? That one I think is hit really hard. So creatives actually use AI a lot, right? Because it's generative AI, you can do lots of things, text, video, images, audio, right? So so a lot of the creators are actually saying, yes, we use AI a lot, but many said that they hide it. And not because they hate the tools, but because they worry that their peers will judge them for it, right? So there's a real stigma in the creative communities around admitting you using AI for anything. So, so the bigger picture right now is that, sorry, the real barrier to AI adoption isn't just the tech part, it's actually psychology. People want the productivity boost, but they also want to protect the parts of their work that gives them identity and pride, right? And I think Anthropic's own takeaway is that if AI can actually listen to all of this, right? It can listen to all the fears, the self-protection, the hopes. Uh, they should be able to then design systems that feel more natural and respectful to how people actually want to work, which makes sense. Okay. Final topic for today is the New York Times just filed a lawsuit against Perplexity. Um, the claim is that Perplexity allegedly copied and reused millions of times articles, including articles that were behind paywalls without permission. Now, according to the complaint, Perplexity's system didn't just link those articles, instead it repackaged them into its Gen AI responses. So in a few cases, the suit also says that Perplexity actually invented content, which is probably hallucinations, and presented it as if though it had come from the Times. Now, I think this is the one that's more problematic for the Times now, and that's going to give a lot of weight to their case. Now, the Times says that this isn't just a one-off dispute. They've actually been sending Perplexity cease and desist letters over the past 18 months, but Perplexity has been kind of ignoring those requests. I think there's quite a lot at stake here. The New York Times obviously wants like both financial damages and, more importantly, wants an injunction to block Perplexity from displaying or distributing any more unlawfully copied content. If Perplexity does get blocked, even temporarily, the impact would actually be very huge. The product relies on pulling like trusted information from the internet, from different sources. So this would basically remove the foundation and actually like immediately start hurting the quality of their responses. And we've recently seen Perplexity's app downloads quite drop, and this would basically just accelerate that slide. The bigger story is more on like what this would mean for everyone else. So if Times actually wins a partial injunction, even if it's a partial injunction, every AI company that scrapes from the web, so like OpenAI, Google, Meta, Grok, they'll have to kind of rethink how they access this kind of like premium data. And suddenly publishers actually start to hold the leverage, and the battle of like who controls the future of like online knowledge kind of starts to swing in the direction of like publishers, right? Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next one.